Came across an article and I wanted to share with you guys magnetism, nature's tonic. But first, there's a couple of books that were banned by the FDA that I also want to share with you guys. Magnetism and its effects on the living system, the magnetic blueprint of life. And I want to read from this one, which is Vital Magnetic Cure and the exposition of vital magnetism and its application to the treatment of mental and physical disease. And it reads, quote, "All should try to learn as much of life and its laws as possible. The operation of the curative process we consider to be a chemical one, carried on in a natural manner, that the cause of disease consists of a want of vital force and an inequality of the circulating fluids, and that if a given case of disease be curable at all, whether it be internal or external, acute or chronic, it is eradicated simply by assisting nature, by a process which increases the vitality, thereby giving new life and vigor to the system of the patient. The magnetic and electric forces, so subtle in their nature and almost magical in their effects, if you, in ignorance, trample upon the laws of your nature in harmony, warfare is inevitably the result, but when you place yourself in harmony with the law of nature, harmony and peace is the result. If the human race were to understand themselves, and by their connection with natural laws by which they are governed, they would enjoy almost perfect health." You don't ever hear that very too often. "Diseases can only be the result of ignorance as you grow into a knowledge of yourselves and the laws of governing the phenomena by which you are surrounded. You will grow out of a condition of disease and into a condition of health. We are further assured from a source of high intelligence, the spiritual realms, that the application of magnetism, properly, not improperly, is destined to do away with all narcotics as remedial agents. They are at present an absolute necessity to human ignorance. But when ignorance shall have given place to knowledge, the veriest child will know how to use the magnetic powers with which every human body is endowed. You all hold within your grasp all the remedial agents that you have need of, but you do not know how to use them. Disease being an imponderable, it can best be treated by the application of an imponderable, that all-powerful force which you call magnetism holds within itself the power to harmonize all the forces of the human body, to prevent disease when disease or harmony, which is the same, has found an aiding place in the physical form. Magnetism has the power to eradicate it, to overcome it, not only to subdue it, but to entirely overcome it." And now from the article. "In every man and woman, there is a life battery, so to speak, a creative force, a life principle, which, like the electric current, may be used in 4 special ways. You can pass it to the muscles and built into the tissue, and it becomes power, physical strength. 2, you can direct it to the brain, and it becomes light, intellectual brilliancy, and mental vigor. 3, you can direct it to the emotions, and it becomes heat, feeling, love, and sympathy. And 4, finally, but if you dissipate the force, you will have neither physical strength, mental vigor, nor emotional warmth. So you have to use it or you lose it. It will be depleted. It will readily be seen that you cannot waste the force in any direction without detracting, in a corresponding degree, from your strength of personal magnetism in other directions. Science says that which we call vitality or life is, in its physical sense, electricity. It is taken into the system from the air and the sunshine, and is generated in the digestive organs by the chemical action of food and drink. So it said it can be directed to the head, anywhere and all throughout the body. So the pineal gland functions as a specialized neuroendocrine transducer, secreting melatonin, DMT, and other hormones, helping to regulate the body's circadian rhythms. research has identified a form of biomineralization within the pineal gland consisting of microscopic crystals that are measured to be about 20 microns in length. Owing to their structural characteristics and piezoelectric properties, these crystals have been proposed as participants in electromagnetic and electromechanical and biological transduction processes. Embedded within a fluid-rich environment, these crystalline structures respond to mechanical pressure and vibration when you get into meditation. Their piezoelectric nature suggests the capacity to convert mechanical energy into electrical signals, while related phenomena such as piezoluminescence describe the emission of these photons when crystals undergo compression. And another property of the pineal gland, piezochromatism, refers to the ability of certain crystals to emit varying different wavelengths of light across the visible spectrum when subjected to vibrational forces. These piezochromatic crystals, these calcite crystals in your brain, that's what the pineal gland is made up of. So within this framework, the pineal gland has been theorized as a biological interface where vibration, light, and electrical signaling converge through crystalline activity. Some people say that acoustical investigations have been done to explore the effects of meditation chanting frequencies, particularly around 110 Hz, noting that such frequencies can influence patterns of neural activity and altered states of consciousness. These observations have led to discussions concerning the relationship between resonance, cognition, contemplative practice, and the physiological functions of the pineal gland, although many of these interpretations have been debated among people. And if you haven't listened to Bill Donahue yet in 2026, then what are you doing? Because he tells you the secret of the pineal gland. The visible spectrum represents only a fraction of the electromagnetic environment around us, suggesting that much of reality exists beyond ordinary perception. The human being is viewed as a human, which is a being of light, meaning human, meaning hue as the color dispersion, and man is the manifestation of the color spectrum. So this is light, frequency, and consciousness. That's why we're called a human. The mind functions less as a creator of thoughts and more as a receiver and a tuner of these frequencies, while thoughts and emotions are understood as vibrational states that are influencing human experience. So when you close your eyes and meditate and you activate the pineal gland in darkness, that brings about the ability of the pineal gland to express colors of light and imagery in the brain that you can't normally see when you're seeing in physical waking life. A central theme is the concept of the Christ oil, or the chrism, which is a symbolic physiological process associated with the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the spinal cord, the sacrum, and the 33 vertebrae. This journey is interpreted as an inner resurrection process whereby consciousness ascends through the body, culminating in spiritual awakening and expanded awareness. Biblical narratives, such as Christ's crucifixion and the resurrection, are viewed as allegories for this internal transformation. The text further proposes that perception itself occurs internally as the brain constructs that visual world from incoming light signals. Ancient symbols like the Eye of Horus and other sacred imagery are interpreted as representations of neurological and anatomical processes occurring within the human body. So the ancient cultures knew exactly what this process meant. Stories like the Jacob's Ladder are likewise interpreted anatomically, with the spinal column serving as the ladder to higher consciousness and the pineal gland symbolizing the place where divine perception is achieved. Numerical and chakra symbolism are integrated into this framework to describe stages of spiritual development and enlightenment. The heart is presented as the body's primary magnetic center and is symbolically identified with the tree of life, where the nervous system represents the tree of knowledge and good and evil. And in this understanding, emotional coherence, unity, and compassion are regarded as pathways to higher states of consciousness beyond the dualities of ordinary perception. Ultimately, this is arguing that the kingdom of God is in your head, and it's not an external destination, but an internal reality. The human body is portrayed as a sacred biological temple, a living map of spiritual evolution through which consciousness may awaken to its divine potential. In the book Oriental Masonry, it reads verbatim, quote, "In the early church, as in the secret doctrine, there was not one Christ for the whole world, but a potential Christ in every man. Theologians first made a fetish of the impersonal, omnipresent divinity, and then tore the Christos from the hearts of all humanity in order to deify Jesus, that they might have a God made peculiarly for their own. Masonry does not teach salvation by faith, nor by vicarious atonement. Humanity is the only personal God. The Christos is the realization, or the perfection of the divine persona, in individual conscious experience. When this perfection is realized, the state is called Christos, with the Greeks, and Buddha with the Hindus. Be ye perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Then, my brother, if Christ and Buddha are one and the same, why condemn you those that follow the Buddha? You know that they who follow the Buddha follow the same Christ as you under but another name. They're telling you to meditate. They're telling you that Christ is the same as Buddha. The Christ story is the same as the Buddha meditation story. To raise the oil, to illuminate to the pineal gland. It's the entire biblical, physiological, astrological, anatomical story of everything happening. In archaeoacoustic studies, they find that Buddhist monks performing meditation or chanting in certain temples produces a frequency of 110 hertz, which is the peak chanting vibration, meaning that frequencies remains the longest, and if a person is subjected to a frequency between those numbers, it shuts off brain activity in the left side of the brain, and it shifts it to the right side of the brain, which is meant for meditation, abstract thinking, deeper thinking, associated with touching the frequency that God is on. This is why they say that Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father. Mark 16:19, Luke 22:69, also Acts 7:55 through 56, and Hebrews 1:3. If you want to find, cast the net to your right side and you find fish in John 21:6. And so the conclusion is that the kingdom is within. The core message of this esoteric synthesis is simple yet revolutionary. The kingdom of God is within you. Various power structures have historically externalized these truths, turning the Holy Grail, the Temple of Solomon, and the story of Christ and Buddha into external objects or historical figures, specifically to keep the masses from looking inside themselves for the source of their power, like we read in the book. If man is truly created in the image of God, then the human body is the ultimate technology. It is a biological temple designed for the resurrection of consciousness. If your body is a coded map to the divine, then you don't need anything except yourself, and to apply this practice that doesn't require anything except learning to be still in meditation. It's why Jesus says, take no thought 5 times, and he's referring to the 5 senses of the body.